these might be starting to get a little too obscure.
Warning, D.C. is a town full of monuments, and some of them hide in plain sight. This week's target, an all but forgotten tribute to an important 207-year-old treaty located at the intersection of 25th and L Streets.
Was it something you'd ever noticed before?
I have, but and then I had forgotten it just as quickly because it didn't make a lasting impression.
The Rush-Bagot Treaty monument commemorates an agreement between the U.S. and Britain that demilitarized the Great Lakes. Not sure wakeboarders in the Midwest would be thrilled about warships on the water today.
The Great Lakes were heavily militarized. Both nations had warships on it. They had forts around it.
Been a while since we've seen Ranger Mike, but you had to know he and I would be back eventually. Mike tells me this treaty, signed right in this spot by acting U.S. Secretary of State Richard Rush and British Minister to the U.S. Charles Bagot, was actually one of the most underrated and important documents in our diplomatic history.
It not only improves relations between the United States and Britain, but of course it is in many ways the foundation of the peace that we've had with Canada for these centuries.
Mike says coming out of the War of 1812, the Rush-Bagot Treaty was the first step in turning the tide in our relationship with one of our closest allies today, the UK.
Still a big deal, absolutely. Again, negotiated in 1817, it is still in effect today. And the Canadian-US border at more than 5,500 miles is the longest demilitarized border in the world.
Today, this building, the former home of the British legation, is now an ordinary apartment building, and residents seem to be none the wiser.
I'm much more impressed by the daffodils that are just about to blossom, and they make a much more lasting impression.
But as Mike told me, no matter how much prestige this spot loses, or how much time passes, what's important is that reminders like this still exist.
Why build it here?
Because it's the sense of place. That's what makes history so cool. If you put that marker anywhere else in the city, it's just a marker about the Rush-Bagot Treaty, but it's there because that's where the Rush-Bagot Treaty was negotiated and signed.
In the district, Matt Kaufax, WTOP News.
Want more Matt About Town? Hear me on the radio before my videos are available online. Listen every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:45 and airing throughout the day on 103.5 FM, the WTOP app, or your smart speaker.